In this video, let's look at one of the type of jobs that you can find with substation knowledge, and these are called the substation commissioning jobs. So now, what do we mean by substation commissioning? Well, this means that the work that needs to be done for any new repair or replacement of equipment, particularly big equipment such as transformers and breakers, etc., as well as control systems, so as implementation of the schemes of relays or SCADA systems, they would need some sort of commissioning procedure and process. Sometimes you may need to even commission entire greenfield construction as well. So it really depends on the scope of different companies and what is the scope of your duties for those companies. So what work would you be doing when you're part of the commissioning team? Well, usually you will be either on the contractor or supplier side, where there would be a contract or a scope of requirements that the contracting or supplier lists out for the utility company that they will fulfill upon completion of the project. Now, substation commissioning engineers are to plan, set up, and execute the service and make sure that the completion of such requirements comply with all of the statutory requirements within the region. They also need to create a program listing out the testing, validations, and client witnessing that is needed for the entire commissioning process. Now, during the commissioning process, you will meet with a team of client representatives, usually utility companies, equipment engineer, project engineer, etc. And you need to guide them through what testing and validations you are performing, as well as getting their signature as a witness to these tests and validation. Now, of course, there will be a lot of troubleshooting that needs to be done, as a lot of times commissioning will not go 100% smooth. So, what kind of skills do you need in order to succeed? Well, the best type of experience that you should have would be field experience, as in, like, you will actually have experience in having go out in the substation site and do some work with it. Another good experience to have is testing experience. So if you have either done like testing such as mega test, power factor test, grounding tests, etc. These are all excellent experiences for these commissioning jobs. In fact, if you have experience in these, you would most likely have no problem in finding a job in substation commissioning. Now, another thing to have in your plate when you're applying to these jobs is equipment engineering experience, especially if you have worked in creating equipment specifications before. Lastly, if you have protection and controls experience, there would be a lot of opportunities, as there are a lot of companies help design PNC schemes for utilities. So there are a need for commissioning protection equipment such as relays, as well as other SCADA communications like RTU, PLC, etc. Overall, substation commissioning jobs is a very high demand occupation, and it has a lot of jobs all around the world. However, though, if you don't like traveling, this might not be a good type of job for you, as you will need to travel a lot and you need to go on site periodically to do the actual commissioning. So if traveling is not for you, then you might want to consider other types of jobs. Now, if you're currently applying for jobs and you're actually getting interviews, I have to say congratulations to you, because right now it's actually a very hard time to get interviews, let alone jobs. So, you know what? To actually do good in interviews, to actually ace the interview in order to get the job of your dreams, I would recommend you to go ahead and visit this particular information product, which is the job interview answers. Now, this particular product has word for word exactly of what you need to say to get hired. It includes the word-to-word answers to all of the behavioral and competency-based interview questions. Now, you might question that these behavioral questions are different from company to company. However, though, my experience tells me that they are actually following the same thing. Like they would ask you almost the same questions 95% of the time, regardless of which company that they interview you. Because behavioral questions and competency-based questions, they usually have a very, very well-defined structure already. And they are very, very predictable. But this predictability you need to know in order to get a upper hand. So if you got an interview coming or you are applying to jobs currently and are anticipating interviews, which you should be, then considering this particular info product. Now, if you're interested, please consider in visiting it by clicking on the link in this particular video description.